Welcome, guys. Good evening. Good evening, Danyash, Khushi, Aman, Jash, Sapna, Manisha Ben, Murtaza, Jyoti, Pradeep Kumar, and all others. All others, a very good evening to you, all of you guys. So, have you read this chapter 4? The parts we have already done in last two sessions. Guys, have you tried to go through your module? Have you revised? Yes. Have you revised, guys? Because I told you that you are just beginning to gain a basic understanding, just a feel of the topic. So it is only when you read from module that you are able to frame your own understanding. I hope you are revising the chapter. So, guys, we are at the point of testing of internal controls. Now, look, the auditor has understood the controls. Okay, he has evaluated the same. We had learned day before yesterday that there are 4 methods of evaluating internal control. That is narrative record, checklist, internal control questionnaire, and a flow chart. Now, after study of internal control, after his evaluation, he actually wants to test the system, actual testing. Now, how he carries out his testing? Obviously, it is not possible for him to check each and every internal control. Obviously, you know that audit procedures are always carried out on sample basis. So he plans his testing in such a manner that all important areas are covered in a period. Say in case of recurring audits, in a period of 3 years. Say if he is the auditor of the company continuously on a year-to-year basis, then he checks all the important areas. And selective testing is done by application of procedural tests and auditing in depth. Now, what are procedural tests? Procedural test means that whatever the company has laid down the procedure, the firm is following it. Say the company is telling that this transaction should be authorized by Mr. X, and it is happening. Okay, so it is an example of procedural test. And what is auditing in depth? Auditing in depth means tracing a transaction from the beginning till end, tracing the transaction from the authorization initiation till the end, till its complete flow. Okay. So as we have learned, guys, the tests of controls are performed to obtain audit evidence regarding one thing is design, I told you, and one thing is operation. Design and operation. कि controls का students design भी ठीक होना चाहिए. The auditor evaluates whether the controls have been properly designed so that risk of material misstatement is reduced. Okay, and operations, whatever, however good a design may be, but if it is not operating, if the control is not operating, then what is the use? Tell me, what's the use? If it is not operating effectively, then what is the use? So both things, design and operation, these are both important. Design is important to check whether the control is designed and is properly and is able to prevent material misstatements or detect and correct material misstatements. Okay, and it has operated throughout the period. So, and one more important thing is, guys, that it may so happen that when the auditor is gaining understanding of the accounting system, okay, then it may so happen that although he may not have specifically planned tests of controls, but the information might provide him evidence that that controls are in effect, in reality controls are functioning, these are effective. Okay, like for example, in obtaining understanding of accounting and internal control systems pertaining to cash, the auditor may have obtained audit evidence about the effectiveness of bank reconciliation process through inquiry and observation. Okay, so when the auditor is understanding the system pertaining to cash and banks, and he is also making inquiry from the concerned persons, or he is observing some process being carried out, how the firm is making payments and what is their procedure in this regard, then he may obtain some audit evidence. So although at this stage he might not have specifically planned tests of control as such, but the understanding he has gained, this can be these can also serve as tests of control. Okay. So Aman, you are asking how to segregate. It is all mixed up. So Aman, when you read once, so you have just gone through the chapter once. So when you read once, obviously you would mix up the things. Okay, so it is only when you read with full concentration, full concentration, then your mind is able to distinguish between the different subtopics. Like say one part of the chapter pertains to audit risk. So first you study, make clarity in your mind about audit risk and its components. So go thorough about all first 4 or 5 pages, say in whatever time you feel comfortable, say in 4 hours, 5 hours, whatever time you feel you are comfortable with, and then try to analyze in your mind different components of audit risk, that what is the meaning, and also try to remember the key words, key definitions. Okay, and after you have gained that understanding, then you move to next topic. Then you move to the meaning of internal control, what are its benefits, what are its limitations. Then give some time to your mind to assimilate that. Then you further go to components of internal control. And after this, try to correlate all the things. Then after this, try to correlate all the things. Then try to correlate audit risk with internal control, and internal control with components of internal control. This way, this repetitive process would lead to more clarity in your mind. Okay, Aman? Yes, Aman, is that clear? So what do tests of control include? What do tests of control include? Okay, so tests of control might include following things, like inspection of documents. Say the management has framed a control that a transaction has to be authorized by Mr. X. Okay, So how the auditor would know that transaction was authorized by Mr. X? Obviously, there would be some trail. There would be some document to show him that transaction was in effect authorized by Mr. X. Okay, so inspection of documents. Number two, so this is the same audit procedure, inspection, which you have read in chapter 3. Observation. So it might so happen, guys, that something has happened, but there is no documentary evidence of it. It leaves no audit trail. Uska koi nishan nahi hai. Then how would auditor get satisfied that this thing is happening? How he would obtain comfort? How he would obtain assurance? So what he will do in such cases, he would try to observe such things in the current period कि अगर presently वो चीज हो रही है, so he knows that if some function is to be performed by Mr. Z, then it is actually being performed by Mr. Z, because he cannot go in the past to see whether the same function was performed by Mr. Z, but presently he can see whether this function which was supposed to be performed by Mr. X or Z, whatever may be, he is performing it. So in this way, he is gaining confidence. Okay, is that clear? Then reperformance. Reperformance means auditor's independent execution of procedures that were originally performed as entities' internal control. Say there is an example given of bank reconciliation statement. Say this is an in-house control. The owner has stipulated, the company has stipulated that I want bank reconciliation after every 15 days. I want bank reconciliation statement after every 15 days or after 1 month. Okay. So the auditor independently reperforms. The bank reconciliation was already prepared, but he again prepares to see whether it is being done correctly or not. Okay. And for some IT function, then testing of internal control on computerized program, whether access to passwords or program change controls is properly authorized or not. Okay. So it is important for the auditor to see that how controls were applied, and they should also be applied consistently throughout, and by whom they were applied. Okay. And the auditor also recognizes that it is possible that some deviations might happen. Say control was designed to produce some X function, but it has deviated a little bit. So he has to inquire into its reason, why it has deviated. It might be so that there might be some change in the workforce. Employee might have shifted, his seat might have shifted. Say like you take the example of this bank reconciliation statement, or say any report which is to be analyzed as part of management's internal control system. Say in 1 month, the said report was not analyzed. So does it mean that that internal control has not operated effectively? The auditor has to see that it might have happened because due to change in seat, the other employee who is new to the seat, he may not have done it, and he may have done it after 10-15 days. Okay, so the complete holistic approach has to be taken. Okay, and while taking view of deviations, he has to see that what is the reason of deviation. Okay, then he has to form a view. Okay, guys, clear? And it is also very important that when the auditor is testing the controls, okay, and then he should try to correlate with his risk assessment of control risk. That what at the beginning when he was assessing control risk, say he had assessed the control risk to be low, but during actual testing, he has found that some controls are not operating effectively. Okay, so he is bound to revise his view. He is bound to revise his assessment of control risk from low to another stage. He might fail to place reliance on the controls because the control risk is now high. Okay, so based on the results of tests of the control, the auditor should evaluate whether internal controls are designed and operating as contemplated in his preliminary assessment of control risk. What was assessed by him at the beginning initially? Initially, say he had assessed the control risk at, say, at low. So, but the deviation lead him to believe that assessed level of control risk needs to be revised. In such case, he would also have to revise nature, timing, and extent of his substantive procedures, detailed procedures. Okay. So again, this thing is again explanation of above. It is same which I have told you, which I have just told you. So there is an example here of sale. Say there are controls. For example, the procedure for the sales requires the following: that when you accept an order, the position of inventory should be known. Okay, whether the order can be executed. Say if I accept some order from a customer, okay, then I should have that item in the inventory, isn't it? Say if I am a trader and some customer places an order with me, then I should have that item in my stocks to be able to meet the demands of customer. Say on online platforms, you are seeing various items for sale. You want to buy a shoe, you have selected a pair of shoes on the online platform, then that item should exist in the inventory of that trader who is advertising on the online platform. Only then he will be able to make delivery to you through the platform, isn't it? Yes, Varsha, if possible, we will discuss. If time permits, we will discuss. So similarly, what should be the credit period? These are the examples for making you understand the concept better. Like say अगर मैं किसी को गुड्स बेच रहा हूं स्टूडेंट्स, तो उसका उधार का पीरियड क्या होगा? So it should not be more than what is given to other customers. Okay, so these kind of things. Okay, guys, so is this clear? Testing of internal controls. Now we come to another subtopic, that is internal control of and IT environment. Internal control and IT environment, information technology environment. So guys, here you have to understand that it may so happen that controls in a company are manual or automated, totally automated. So first I'll try to explain you in very generally. So in manual controls, obviously there would be a there should be a approval, there should be authorization for a transaction, there should be approval, and these would be leading to some manual trails. At every stage there would be documents, reports. Okay, so the auditor can go through those things, and it may so happen that in the IT system the whole thing is totally automated, or the company may follow a mix of manual controls and automated controls, which usually happens. So what are the benefits of an entity's internal control system if it uses IT? So just very generally, say if the control system is IT driven, if it is automated, then what are the benefits to the company and consequently to the auditor? Say if the control system is automated, then obviously it ensures timely implementation of controls. It ensures that misstatements are prevented. It ensures that misstatements are, if these happen, these are detected and corrected. Okay, so whatever the management wants, or whatever it desires from its staff, its personnel, okay, it can make this happen through a system of automated controls, and the complex calculations become easy, because if the company has invested substantial effort, substantial energies while devising a control system which is automated, then it should be able to make complex calculations itself. Okay, so manual element would be reduced, and the chances of mistake would also be reduced. Say like if in case of a company, if the payroll system is totally automated, okay, and the controls in this respect are totally automated, obviously, and it is properly designed, then obviously the chances of wrong calculation of the compensation to employees is greatly reduced. Okay, isn't it, guys? But it is you have to understand that it is a double-edged sword. What it is? It is a double-edged sword. Automated control. Say if some mistake happens, or if there is a bug in the system, then the whole payroll of the company would be prepared wrongly, isn't it? So like in case of banks, nowadays the interest is applied by the bank on loan accounts at the central level. Okay, so पूरे इंडिया में वो एक कमांड है, और वो लग जाए जितने ब्रांचेस हैं उन सब का इंटरेस्ट ऑटोमेटिकली कैलकुलेट हो जाता है. So it is an example of, again, IT control. Now if there is a bug, or if there is some error, then it would also it would be in a position to make the whole calculation wrong on all India basis. So it is a double-edged sword, I am telling you. Okay, it can make things easier also, or it can make the mistakes happen, errors happen on a larger scale also. But again, these errors can be eliminated by ensuring that IT systems design is proper in accordance with the needs of the management. And it also reduces the risk that controls will be circumvented. This is also very important, because if you have automated controls, then chances that these will be bypassed, its risk is reduced. Okay. And so these type of examples facilitates the additional analysis of information, ensures timeliness, availability, and accuracy of information. So these kind of things. So now again the same thing, the example which I had given to you relating to bank. IT also poses specific risks to an entity's internal control. Now how? IT also poses specific risks to an entity's internal control. It is advantageous, but it can also pose risk. How it can pose risk? Because the company might be playing reliance on systems that are inaccurately processing inaccurate data. से अगर उसका डिजाइन ही ठीक नहीं है और वो डाटा को इनएक्यूरेटली प्रोसेस कर रहा है तो सब गलत हो जाएगा. ओके. Unauthorized access to data. So data safety, question of data safety. There is unauthorized access to data that may result in improper changes to data or destruction of data. Okay, including the recording of unauthorized or non-existent transactions or inaccurate recording of transactions. Clear, guys? The possibility of IT personnel gaining access privileges beyond those necessary to, say now, IT persons might become too powerful. They might gain information which is beyond the scope of performance of their duties. There might be unauthorized changes to data in master files, unauthorized changes to system or programs, potential loss of data, or inability to access data as required. Self-explanatory. Okay. So again, when some judgment is required, when some analysis is required, then human intervention might be required. So reliability, manual elements in internal control may be less reliable than automated elements because they can be more easily bypassed, ignored. This we have already done. I have told you in the overview. So कंपनी का खुद का इंफॉर्मेशन सिस्टम कैसा है, उसका हार्डवेयर सॉफ्टवेयर कैसा है, प्रोसीजर्स, उसके डाटा के बारे में क्या है, इस पे भी डिपेंड करता है कि आईटी रिस्क कैसा होगा. ऑब्वियसली अगर आपका सॉफ्टवेयर ठीक नहीं है, इट इज एरर प्रॉन, या वो जो मैनेजमेंट इंफॉर्मेशन जिस फॉर्म में चाह रहा है, या मैनेजमेंट जिस फॉर्म में वो रिपोर्ट चाहता है उसको देने में उसकी कैपेबिलिटी नहीं है, वो उतनी ही उसकी कैपेसिटी नहीं है, देन इट वुड पोज सिग्निफिकेंट रिस्क. ओके गाइस, सो क्लियर guys? Now materiality and audit risk. This concept we had also touched in chapter 2. So guys, you have to understand, we have learned that concept of materiality is applied by the auditor not only in planning the audit but in performing the audit also throughout the audit. I had told you in chapter 2 that this concept of materiality, this thread of materiality runs throughout the audit, right from planning stage till the end. Everywhere auditor has to see that whether this thing is material or not. So similar is the case with risk assessment. that auditor has to see that concept of materiality is applied by the auditor both in planning and performing the audit, and in evaluating the effect of identified misstatements on the audit. What is the effect of identified misstatements on the audit and of uncorrected misstatements, जो statements uncorrected hai, and finally on the opinion of audit. So what was the final outcome of the audit? Opinion. He gives opinion. So throughout the audit, this concept of materiality is applied. Yes, Dinesh, essay 320, you are saying rightly. So in conducting an audit of financial statements, overall objectives of auditor are obtained to assurance that financial statements are free from material misstatements, whether due to fraud or errors. Okay, thereby enabling the auditor to express opinion on financial statements. Okay. So the auditor obtains reasonable assurance by obtaining sufficient appropriate audit evidence to reduce audit risk to the acceptably low level. These are the all things which we have already done in chapter 2. So guys, you have also to understand that there is an inverse relationship. There is an inverse relationship between audit risk and materiality. This I had also told at time of chapter 2, audit risk and materiality. There is inverse relationship between audit risk and materiality. Documenting the risk. Now, whatever the assessment has been made by the auditor, he has to document it. He has to put in the writing, put it into the writing. So what shall be documented by the auditor? The auditor shall document the discussion among the engagement team and significant decisions reached. What was the discussion among the engagement team? How do different members reacted? Okay. And what were the decisions reached? Key elements of understanding. जो ऑडिटर ने और एंगेजमेंट टीम ने अपना इंटरनल कंट्रोल का अंडरस्टैंडिंग की है डिफरेंट कंपोनेंट्स के बारे में, दैट हैज आल्सो टू बी डॉक्यूमेंटेड. से कि like they have studied the control environment as component of internal control. So what is their understanding of the Yes, guys. So there was a temporary interruption, guys. Sorry for that due to connectivity issues. So we were at the documenting the risk. So the auditor shall document the discussion among the engagement team and significant decisions reached. Okay. Key elements of understanding obtained regarding each aspects of the entity and its environment, and of each of the internal control components, the sources of information from each such understanding was obtained, and the risk assessment procedures performed. Now, guys, whatever the understanding was, how the team gained understanding of the different components of internal control, what was their assessment of the say control environment, whether they found HR policies of the company to be good, or whether they found the promoters to be persons of integrity, of having ethical values, how was the organization structure, and is there a process in the company to carry out its own risk assessment. Okay. And how do the companies monitoring everything. So all these kind of things, all the 5 components of internal control and information system. So all the 5 components of the internal control, whatever the understanding was gained by the engagement team in this respect. Okay, this is documented. Okay. So now you are asking how the materiality and risk, there should be a direct relationship. No, there is an inverse relationship. Here, when we talk about materiality, we are talking about materiality level, not about the materiality concept as per se, but of the materiality level. So jitna bar higher set hoga, utna audit risk low hoga. Okay. We are talking about materiality level. So the identified and assessed risk of material misstatement at the financial statement level and at the assertion level. So what were the risks identified and assessed risks of material misstatement at the financial statement level and assertion level? The risks identified and related controls about which the auditor has obtained an understanding. So all these things will be documented by the auditor. Okay. So guys, this was about internal control, different components of internal control, and about audit risk, its different components. So what were the different components of audit risk? Risk of material misstatement and detection risk. So risk of material misstatements we understood again divided into 2 parts. One was inherent risk and another was control risk. So combination of all these 3 was audit risk. Audit risk is inherent risk multiplied by control risk multiplied by detection risk. Okay. Materiality level, I am trying to explain to you, Pranav, for a understanding. In effect, it is the same for understanding, to help you form picture in your mind. Okay. So now we come to next topic that is very important, guys. Internal audit. What is internal audit? So first we will gain some basic understanding कि internal audit क्या होता है. Students, up till now you would be understanding auditing in the context of an external audit engagement, that you are a statutory auditor and the company has put up before you its financial statements for audit. Okay, and you have to give an opinion on the financial statements. This is a kind of assurance engagement, and it is an external audit engagement where the auditor is external to the company. Okay, now there is another concept of internal audit. Now, what is internal audit, and what is its meaning, what is its nature, and why it is here in this chapter of risk assessment and internal control. These things also we will discuss. So internal audit means, what does internal audit mean? Internal audit means an independent management function which involves a continuous and critical appraisal of the functioning of an entity with a view to suggest improvements and add value to and strengthen overall governance mechanism of the entity, including entity's strategic risk management and internal control system. Now, fairly long definition. Now, again, I had also told you that longer the definition, longer the meaning, the better it is for you to understand. So again, you have to understand that in general layman's language, that internal audit is also a part of the management's internal process to ensure that function of entity, function of the company is continuously reviewed. Okay, and improvements are suggested to it. Not only improvements are suggested on a regular and continuous basis, but these are also corrected. Okay. So Dinesh, you are asking, when statutory audit is doing statutory auditor, then what is the need of internal audit? So this is what I am telling you, Dinesh. Look, the purpose of statutory audit is just to express an opinion on financial statements. Now, the purpose of internal audit is to help the management in improving its systems in a better way. The internal auditor is not going to express an opinion on the financial statements. He is not signing the balance sheet. He is not going to express an opinion on the financial statements. But what he would be doing, he would be continuously reviewing the in-house systems, processes of the company. जो इंटरनल कंट्रोल कंपनी ने बनाया है, उसको इंटरनल ऑडिटर कॉन्टिन्यूसली रिव्यू करता रहेगा कि इसमें क्या कमियां हैं, वेयर इंप्रूवमेंट्स कैन बी डन or where mistakes are happening, and how these errors can be eliminated. Okay, and how the overall governance of the company can be improved, including entities, strategic risk management and internal control system. He also advises the management. He also helps the management in improving the internal control system. Look, statutory auditor role is not to help the management in improving its functioning. Whatever the management has done, whatever the company has done, the auditor studies the same. I am now telling about external auditor, statutory auditor. He studies the same, he evaluates, and on the basis of that, he performs audit procedures and gives his opinion on the financial statements. But here, the role of internal auditor is that he continuously makes a critical analysis of the governance structure, governance mechanism of the company, and also of the internal control of the company. And he identifies the areas where things can go wrong, and he helps in improving those areas. Like say फैक्ट्री में किसी प्लांट में पिलफरेज हो रही है, थेफ्ट हो रहे हैं, वेस्टेज ज्यादा है, so he can give his suggestions how to reduce this. Okay. Now Jesh Shah is asking, can statutory auditor perform internal audit? No, statutory auditor cannot perform internal audit. A person who is internal auditor, he is disqualified from being appointed as statutory auditor. Okay. Is that clear? Is that clear to you, Jash? So guys, you understand the meaning of internal audit? So guys, tell me whether you understand the basic meaning and nature of internal audit. Is the same clear to you so that we can move further? Yes, only Jash has replied. What about others? Guys, you understand what is the difference between internal audit and external audit? And have you grasped the basic understanding of what is included in internal audit? What is the role of an internal auditor? Yes. Now we will specifically see internal audit function in the context of companies. In the context of companies, provisions of Companies Act 2013. So what are the provisions of Companies Act 2013 in relation to what? In relation to internal audit. So as the provisions are contained, guys, in section 138. Section 138 of Companies Act. So what does section 138 states? It states that as per that following companies, class of companies are required to appoint an internal auditor or a firm of internal auditor, namely every listed company. Every listed company. So mandatory requirement is for every listed company to have an internal auditor. It is a must. Companies whose shares are listed on stock exchanges, they are must to have a to have an internal auditor. Okay. Yeah, Abdul, the question you are asking, we shall be coming we shall be discussing its answer just after 5-10 minutes. It will come in the topic itself. So every unlisted public company having there are some conditions. Now these conditions are related to paid up capital. 4 things are there. Paid up capital. Second thing is turnover. Third thing is loan or borrowings. And fourth thing is deposits. Now there are 4 conditions in regard to unlisted public companies. It means that it is a public company, but it is unlisted. Its shares are not listed. So if its paid up share capital is 50 crore or more during the preceding financial year. First condition is that. कि अगर पेड अप कैपिटल 50 करोड़ से ज्यादा होगा तो अनलिस्टेड पब्लिक कंपनी के केस में इंटरनल ऑडिटर अपॉइंट करना मैंडेटरी है। और टर्नओवर इज 200 करोड़ और मोर ड्यूरिंग द प्रेसीडिंग फाइनेंशियल ईयर। Okay, so turnover is 200 CR or more during the preceding financial year. Or third is outstanding loan or borrowings from banks or public financial institution exceed 100 crores or more at any time during the preceding financial year. So the point to be noted is at any point of time, say even if for a one day the total loan or borrowings from banking system or public financial institutions have gone up by more than 100 crores, then there would be a compulsorily applicability of internal audit, and provisions of section 138 of Companies Act 2013 are attracted. Okay, and number 4 is outstanding deposits of 25 crores or more at any point of time during the preceding financial year. So you understand, guys, deposits, when the company accepts deposits, the provisions of deposits are contained in section 73 to 76. You have read it in the company law classes, or you might be reading it. 73 to 76, Chapter 5 of Companies Act 2013. Okay. So if any of these 4 conditions is satisfied, so clear, guys, if any of these 4 conditions is satisfied, then what happens? Company would have to appoint internal auditor. A public company, unlisted public company, will have to appoint internal auditor. Aman, yes, you see, before asking, just give pressure on your mind also. आपने दिमाग पे भी जोर लगाइए स्टूडेंट्स। हर एक कंडीशन के बीच में और है। इसका क्या मतलब है कि चारों में से कोई भी कंडीशन सेटिस्फाई हो जाएगी तो कंपनी को इंटरनल ऑडिटर अपॉइंट करना पड़ेगा। अनलिस्टेड पब्लिक कंपनी की बात हो रही है, लिस्टेड कंपनी को तो करना ही करना है, लेकिन अनलिस्टेड पब्लिक कंपनी में चारों में से कोई भी कंडीशन सेटिस्फाई हो जाएगी तो उसको इंटरनल ऑडिटर अपॉइंट करना मैंडेटरी है कंपनीज एक्ट 2013 के हिसाब से। अमन शर्मा, इज दैट क्लियर? इसके अलावा प्राइवेट कंपनी को भी इंटरनल ऑडिटर अपॉइंट करना कंपल्सरी है। किस कंडीशन में? 2 कंडीशन है। नंबर 1, इसमें खाली टर्नओवर और लोन की रिक्वायरमेंट है, आउटस्टैंडिंग लोन्स की, कि अगर टर्नओवर इज मोर देन 200 करोड़ और मोर इन द प्रेसीडिंग फाइनेंशियल ईयर, और आउटस्टैंडिंग लोन और बोरिंग्स फ्रॉम बैंक्स or public financial institutions is 100 crores or more. So these 2 conditions are same as these were in the unlisted public company. So जो टर्नओवर और जो आउटस्टैंडिंग लोन की जो अनलिस्टेड पब्लिक कंपनी में कंडीशन है, वही कंडीशन प्राइवेट कंपनी के केस में ही है। ठीक है स्टूडेंट्स, इज दैट ओके? So it is provided that an existing company covered under any of the above criteria shall comply with the requirement within 6 months of commencement of such section. Now this is of irrelevant historical. It is talking about when Companies Act came into the force. Companies Act 2013 came into the force. Okay, so guys, you now understand कि इंटरनल ऑडिट की रिक्वायरमेंट कंपनीज एक्ट 2013 में क्या है हम इसको एक बार हिंदी में समझ लेते हैं। सेक्शन 138 के अकॉर्डिंग every listed company is required to appoint an internal auditor. ओके, हर एक लिस्टेड कंपनी को मैंडेटरली अपॉइंट करना है। सेकंड, अनलिस्टेड पब्लिक कंपनी को अपॉइंट करना है अगर वो चारों में से कोई भी कंडीशन सेटिस्फाई हो जाए। चार कंडीशन रिलेटेड टू पेड अप कैपिटल, नंबर 2 टर्नओवर, नंबर 3 लोन और आउटस्टैंडिंग, नंबर 4 डिपॉजिट्स। उसकी लिमिट है पेड अप कैपिटल 50 करोड़ और मोर, टर्नओवर इज 200 crores or more, outstanding loan is 100 crores or more, and deposits are 25 CR or more. और प्राइवेट कंपनी के केस में if turnover is 200 CR or more, or loans and outstanding for loans and borrowings are 100 crores or more at any point of time during the preceding financial year. This is also very important. At any point of time. Okay. Not only at the close of the year, not only at the end of the financial year, not only as on 31st March, but at the end. Okay. So who can be appointed as an internal auditor? Who can be appointed as an internal auditor? Now this question was asked by Abdul. So I think you would be getting your reply, Abdul, now. That internal auditor can be, he can be, what should be his qualification? He can be a CA or he can be a cost accountant. Or he can be any other professional as decided by the board. He can be a chartered accountant, whether engaged in practice or not. It means he can be employee also. It is not necessary that only a CA holding certificate of practice, he is to be appointed as a internal auditor. Now you understand the difference between internal auditor and external auditor and significance of certificate of practice. In case of statutory audit, in case of external auditor, the only CA who is holding certificate of practice, he can perform the test function. Only he can sign the balance sheet, but not in case of internal auditor. In case of internal auditor, if a chartered accountant, he is not holding certificate of practice, even then he can be appointed as an internal auditor. Okay. And the internal auditor may or may not be an employee of the company. It is possible that the internal auditor is an employee of the company. He is on the payrolls of the company. And it is also possible that he is not employee of the company. Say if there is a firm of chartered accountants and they are rendering the service of internal audit to that company, but there is no employer-employee relationship between these two. The CA firm is getting its professional fees for conducting internal audit. Okay, you understand? They are not conducting in this case statutory audit or external audit. They would not be expressing an opinion on the financial statements. That would be some other form of chartered accountants. Okay, but the role of this firm would be who is appointed as an internal auditor. Its role would be to review the functioning of the entity, to review its systems, to suggest how improvements can be done in the governance mechanism and the risk assessment process. Yes, he can be any professional. Not only CS, he can be any professional. He can be any professional as may be decided by board. So this is a very vast, you can say, definition, vast leeway. Okay. So these all things you have to understand, that internal auditor, he may be employee, he can be employee of the company, and he cannot be employee of the company. He can be a person outside the company also. He is rendering the services. What kind of services he is rendering? He would be rendering internal auditor services. Or he can be an employee of the company. He can be a person who is drawing salary from the company, who is on the payrolls of the company. So by qualification, he can be a CA, he can be a cost accountant, he can be any other professional as decided by board. Okay. Now, Abdul, you had asked that the external auditor is disqualified to do internal audit in same entity or as a whole. Now, I think you should have got your answer. Say, if I am performing internal audit services of a company, then I am disqualified to be appointed as its statutory auditor. It doesn't mean that I would be disqualified from acting as statutory auditor of other companies also. It doesn't mean that there is a stamp on me, that a stamp has been affixed upon me that this is the internal auditor, that he is the internal auditor, he cannot do external audit function. No, this is not like this way. This is like that if you are internal auditor of a company, then you cannot do statutory audit of that company. You are disqualified from conducting statutory audit of that company. The disqualification applies to that company, not to the function as a whole. It is not functional disqualification. Yes. Yes, Abdul, you are right. If CA can do external audit in company A, then he can do internal audit in company B. Yes, he can do. There is no bar to it. Okay. So, Abdul, is that clear? So, Dinesh, you have asked if turnover of an unlisted public company is 201 crore in financial year 22-23, then the company has to appoint internal auditor. But if next year less than 200 crores, the criteria is on seeing the internal audit of preceding financial year. Okay. Yeah, Jesh, you are asking if an employee performs internal audit, does the company have to pay him separate fees? Yes. If somebody is rendering services, if say CA firm is rendering services as an internal auditor, then obviously he would not be doing it for free. The company would be paying him mutually agreed fees. Or if some chartered accountant is on the payrolls of the company, then he would be drawing salary. Okay, so it depends upon how the internal audit function is structured in the company, whether they have whether the company has decided to make internal auditor as an employee of the company, or they are availing services of an audit firm to carry out internal audit. Okay. Yes, any professional can do. Do not write, ask the name whether this professional can do. Any professional can do. That is left to the wisdom of the board to decide. So internal audit function. Now here again the internal audit functions is explained in greater detail. What do we understand by internal audit function and how it goes. Okay. a function of an entity that performs assurance and consulting activities to evaluate and improve the effectiveness of entities, governance, risk management, and internal control process. Yes, criteria have to be checked every year. So क्या स्कोप है स्टूडेंट्स इंटरनल ऑडिट के फंक्शंस का? Activities relating to governance. So the internal audit function may assess the governance process in its accomplishment of objectives, performance management, accountability, communicating risk and control information to appropriate areas of organization, and also to external auditors. Okay, activities relating to risk management. So it may help in identifying and evaluating significant exposure to risk and contributing to the improvement of risk management and internal control. Like say there is a business risk to the company. Like I had given you guys last time example of a furniture company where probable demand might be reduced due to import of furniture from some other countries. Okay, so the company is carrying out its risk assessment process. Now, how the internal auditor can be helpful? It can be helpful to the management in better managing such risk management activities. Okay, how to reduce this risk? What are the preventive steps to be taken in time? What corrective action is to be taken? Okay, so these things will be done by internal auditor. It is part of his duties to do such things. Activities relating to internal control. Okay, so activities relating to internal control. Obviously, this is one of the major activities performed by internal auditor, guys. So obviously the internal auditor is concerned with the fact that internal control system is operating effectively, because he has to continuously review all the actions of the management and point out any shortcomings. He constantly reviews the controls on ongoing basis, like whether these are operating effectively or not. So guys, all your company's act queries will be taken care of in your company law classes. So for the time being, we are concerned here with auditing aspects. So activities relating to internal control, evaluation of internal controls. So guys, take for example the banks. Now you know that banks की भी balance sheet guys audit होती है. Statutory audit is done. Now who conducts the statutory audit? The firm of auditors. An external auditor conducts the statutory audit. But there is also a system in the banks to do internal audit, to conduct audit as the transactions are happening on a daily basis. So the internal auditor here gives reports, okay, on monthly basis to banks management. Okay, guys. So you understand now the difference between internal audit and external audit. So whatever the systems the company or the organization or the entity that it has put in place, so the company would be the internal auditor would be reviewing those activities, would be reviewing those systems, those controls, and he would not only point out shortcomings but also suggest improvements That is also very important, guys. And another important function of the internal auditor is, guys, to not only to point shortcomings but also to get those corrected. उसको खाली ये नहीं बताना है कि यहाँ पे शॉर्टकमिंग है, उसको ये भी बताना है इसको शॉर्टकमिंग को ठीक कैसे करना है और इसको इंप्रूव कैसे करना है और इसको बेटर कैसे बनाना है. इज दैट क्लियर, गाइस? Is that clear to you, guys? So the internal audit function may be assigned specific responsibility for reviewing controls, evaluating their operation and recommending improvements thereto. So that is also very important. Recommending improvements thereto. So for example, the internal audit function might plan and perform tests or other procedures to provide assurance to management and those charged with governance regarding design, implementation and operating effectiveness of internal controls. So guys, now you understand why we are studying this topic of internal audit in this chapter of risk assessment and internal control. You understand now? Because internal audit is linked with internal control. Because internal auditor is supposed to review the internal control. He has to point out shortcomings. He has to suggest improvements. He has to see whether design of controls is proper, whether these are operating effectively or not. In-house. This is apart from what statutory auditor is supposed to do. He would do it for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the financial statements, whereas internal auditor would be doing it for the purpose of improving governance of the company. Okay. Is that clear, guys? So examination of financial and operating information. The internal audit function may be assigned to review means to measure, classify, recognize and report financial and operating information, to make specific inquiry into individual items. Say management might ask internal auditor कि आप इसको हमारे debtors को जरा review कीजिए कि इसमें कोई misstatement तो नहीं है. So he anyway he would not be expressing an opinion on the financial statements. That area falls to the role of statutory auditor. But in-house he can do anything to improve its corporate governance. Okay. Review of operating activities. So the internal audit function may be assigned to review the economy, efficiency and effectiveness of operating activities, including non-financial activities. Not only financial activities, including non-financial activities, like how to improve the processes better. How to improve a process better. Now it might not involve a financial implication directly, but it falls under the purview of internal audit function. Review of compliance with laws and regulations. Say the internal auditor may be assigned the job कि वो जो कंपनी है वो सारे रूल्स और रेगुलेशंस फॉलो कर रही है कि नहीं. It might be it falls within the scope of internal audit function. Scope of internal audit function. So guys, you now understand the basic understanding, the basic feel of internal audit function. कि internal audit function से आप क्या समझते हैं. और जो पॉइंट्स हैं वो तो आप मॉड्यूल में से पढ़ेंगे ही. You would be gaining a better understanding, but now you have a fairly broad idea of what do you mean by internal audit, what is its nature, how it is different from external audit or statutory audit, what is the scope of its functions, and who can be appointed as internal auditor, what are the provisions of Companies Act 2013 in this regard. Now, Section 138 describes the provisions regarding appointment of an internal auditor. It is compulsory for listed companies, and for unlisted public companies, any of the four conditions has to be satisfied, and in case of private companies, any one of the two conditions, turnover condition or loan and borrowing condition, has to be satisfied. Okay. And again, the same things: evaluation of activities relating to internal control, evaluation, examination of financial and operating information, review of operating activities, review of compliance with laws and regulations. This we have already done. जैसे स्टूडेंट्स स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑन ऑडिटिंग है, वैसे स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑन इंटरनल ऑडिटिंग भी हैं जो आईसीआई ने इशू किए हुए हैं, लेकिन ये अभी आपके सिलेबस के स्कोप से बाहर हैं, सिर्फ यहाँ पे इसके नाम लिखे हुए हैं, जस्ट फॉर योर इंफॉर्मेशन. सो देयर आर स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑन इंटरनल ऑडिट ऑल्सो, फॉर जस्ट फॉर योर इंफॉर्मेशन. Now, students, when you would be reading your chapter on company audit and audit report, okay, a term would come where the auditor has to give opinion on the internal financial controls operating in the company. Internal financial controls. In case of a company, the auditor has to give his specific opinion under section 134 subsection 5 clause E. Okay. So मोटा मोटा आप समझ के चलें स्टूडेंट्स, ब्रॉडली इंटरनल फाइनेंशियल कंट्रोल्स की उसी लाइन पे डेफिनेशन है जो कि इंटरनल कंट्रोल्स के बारे में हमने पढ़ा था कि एंश्योरिंग एफिशिएंट कंडक्ट ऑफ बिजनेस इंक्लूडिंग एडहेरेंस टू कंपनीज पॉलिसी, सेफगार्डिंग ऑफ एसेट्स, प्रिवेंशन एंड डिटेक्शन ऑफ फ्रॉड्स एंड एरर्स, and timely preparation of reliable financial information and completeness of accounting records. All these 4 or 5 things we had studied while understanding the meaning of internal control. So you would be saying कि हम ये internal financial control यहाँ पे क्यों पढ़ रहे हैं अगर वो सेम चीज है? हम इसको यहाँ पे इसलिए पढ़ रहे हैं क्योंकि सेक्शन 134 सबसेक्शन 5 ऑफ कंपनीज एक्ट 2013 में ये स्पेसिफिक रिक्वायरमेंट है रिपोर्ट करने की इंटरनल फाइनेंशियल कंट्रोल्स के बारे में. सो इंटरनल फाइनेंशियल कंट्रोल्स क्या डिफाइन हुए हैं? द पॉलिसीज एंड प्रोसीजर्स एडॉप्टेड बाय द कंपनी फॉर एंश्योरिंग ऑर्डरली एंड एफिशिएंटली कंडक्ट ऑफ इट्स बिजनेस, including adherence to companies' policies, safeguarding of assets, prevention and detection of frauds, accuracy and completeness of accounting records, and timely preparation of reliable financial information. So this is the definition as per section 134(5). So under section 143 of Companies Act, the auditor is to report whether the company has an adequate internal financial control systems in the place and operating effectiveness of such controls. Now section 143 specifically casts duty upon the statutory auditor. Specifically casts duty upon the statutory auditor to report whether company has adequate internal financial control system in the company and whether these are operating effectively or not, and the operating effectiveness of such controls. Okay. So is that clear? ये आपको इसलिए यहाँ पे सब टॉपिक दिया गया है क्योंकि कंपनीज एक्ट 2013 में इंटरनल फाइनेंशियल कंट्रोल्स सेक्शन 134 में सेपरेट टर्म यूज की गई है और ऑडिटर को सेक्शन 143 में जो चीजें रिपोर्ट करनी है ऑडिट रिपोर्ट में, उसमें एक चीज ये भी है जो आप कंपनी ऑडिट का जब चैप्टर आएगा तो उसमें पढ़ेंगे कि द ऑडिटर हैज टू रिपोर्ट हैज टू स्टेट whether the company has adequate internal financial control system in place and the operating effectiveness of such controls. Okay, क्योंकि ये इंटरनल कंट्रोल से रिलेटेड है इसलिए इस सब टॉपिक को इस चैप्टर में इंक्लूड किया गया है. ओके गाइस, is that clear? So Anish, you are asking, if there is a firm XYZ, Mr. X is a partner who provides internal audit services, can Mr. Y provide statutory audit? So, Anish, you have to first understand how this system of audit operates. When there is a firm, there are two partners, so the appointment should be in the name of firm, obviously. So the partners would be accepting the appointments in the name of the firm, and if they are accepting some, so the practically it does not operate like this. What you have asked, okay? So obviously, when they would be accepting appointment in the name of firm, then how they can provide internal audit service? Okay. So reporting under section 143(1) is dependent on the underlying criteria of internal financial controls or financial reporting adopted by the management. Okay. So clear, guys? Yes, guys, is that clear? Now there are two more terms, guys. One is internal financial control. This you have already understood. It is there in section 134 subsection 5. Okay. And there is another term, internal controls over financial reporting. Now you can understand that whereas this term covers is very wide, whereas this term is very wide, the scope of this term is narrow. It covers things like frauds, safeguarding of assets. Okay. Whereas these terms, internal controls over financial reporting, the auditors are required to express an opinion on the effectiveness of internal control over financial reporting. This is more related to reliability of financial information. So internal financial control is quite a broad term encompassing many things like adherence to company's policies, like orderly and efficiently conduct of business, safeguarding of assets, detection of frauds and errors, and timely preparation of reliable financial information. Whereas internal controls of over financial reporting, this term is a narrow term, and it is more related to controls operating over financial reporting. Okay. So you have to understand the both the terms internal financial control and internal control over financial reporting. Now you are asking Abdul, is this clause 1 or clause I? Which clause you are asking Abdul? Clause 140. You are asking about section 143 subsection 3 Abdul. Abdul, are you asking about section 143 subsection 3? So the clause is I. Clause is 143 subsection 3 clause I. There are many clauses in subsection 3 of section 143 from A, starting from A, B, ending up to I think J or something. So J or H, and one of these clauses is clauses I. I think Abdul, you are asking about this very thing. Is that clear to you, Abdul? Yes. Okay, guys. So at this stage, we'll be taking a short break of 10 minutes. So see you after break, guys. So break of 10 minutes. Break of 10 minutes. Yes. Yes, guys. So you are ready for some questions? Yes, guys. Are you ready for some question, guys? Is screen visible to you? Please let me know. Yes, guys. Is screen visible to you guys? Correct, incorrect, correct type questions. So question number 1. Control environment in itself does not prevent or detect and correct a material misstatement. Now tell whether this statement is correct or incorrect. Now, Abdul, the requirement is of loans and borrowings from banks and financial institutions. Obviously, you would not be issuing debentures to banks. It means that if the loans and borrowings are received from banks or financial institutions, control environment in itself does not prevent or detect and correct a material misstatement. Control environment in itself does not prevent or detect and correct a material misstatement. Whether this statement is correct or incorrect, what should be the answer? You remember, guys, control environment? You remember control environment? So what was the control environment? So side by side, when you are answering the question, guys, do let me know also what is your basic understanding of control environment. Can you drop a line or two? What do you mean by control environment? So simultaneously, we are also revising the topic also. Control environment का क्या meaning है, guys? So we'll come it to later whether the statement is true or false. Let me know what do you mean by control environment. इसका क्या मतलब है स्टूडेंट्स? कंट्रोल एनवायरनमेंट, जस्ट ड्रॉप 1-2 लाइंस. पहले तो कंट्रोल एनवायरनमेंट होता क्या है? It was the first component of internal control you had studied. So what is the meaning of control environment? Let me know what is the meaning of control environment. What do you understand by control environment? Just drop a 1-2 line in your own words. I do not need technical sort of thing. Just give your basic understanding of what do you mean by control environment. Yes, guys, any one of you? Any one of you? Yes, Pranav, it is a component of internal control. वो तो है ही, कंपोनेंट तो इंटरनल कंट्रोल का है, लेकिन उसका मतलब क्या है? कंट्रोल एनवायरनमेंट में क्या होता है? आपने क्या समझा कि कंट्रोल एनवायरनमेंट क्या था? व्हाट डिड इट इंक्लूड? इसमें क्या क्या चीजें थी? सो गाइस, साथ ही साथ हमारा कंट्रोल एनवायरनमेंट भी रिवाइज हो जाएगा क्वेश्चन के साथ. Yes, Anand, you are saying attitude, awareness, and actions. Yes, it is correct. It is one part of thing. So control environment, guys, the whole environment in which company is operating. What is its inner culture? What is the integrity of the management people? What is the whether the management consists of ethical people? Okay. So whether they show keen interest in following rules, regulation in complying with laws, what is the organization structure, what are the HR policies, so whether HR policies are employee friendly. So all these things form a control environment. These affect control environment. So क्या ये statement अब correct है? Whether control environment in itself does not prevent or detect and correct a material misstatement. This statement is correct. It only control environment only supplements, it influences the whole internal control system of which it itself is a part, but it is not capable by itself to prevent or detect and correct a material misstatement. That obviously there would be some systems, there would be other parts of the control system which as a whole are capable of preventing a material misstatement or detecting and correcting a material misstatement. So control environment in itself, by itself, it does not prevent or correct and detect. It only influences, but it is not capable of preventing. अगर मैनेजमेंट अच्छी है, मैनेजमेंट में ethical लोग हैं, they are law abiding people. So it doesn't mean कि कंपनी का इंटरनल कंट्रोल बहुत अच्छा होगा और उसमें कोई मटेरियल मिसस्टेटमेंट होने की पॉसिबिलिटी नहीं है. देयर कैन बी, द एम्प्लॉइज माइट कॉल्यूड, द एम्प्लॉइज माइट बी डिसऑनेस्ट, लेकिन ऑब्वियसली इन्फ्लुएंस जरूर करता है कि कंट्रोल एनवायरनमेंट अगर बेटर होगा तो एम्प्लॉइज भी मैनेजमेंट की डायरेक्शंस जनरली फॉलो करेंगे, लेकिन पॉसिबिलिटी रहेगी. ओके, so this statement is correct. Now number 2, narrative record as a method of evaluation of internal control is suitable for large companies. Whether this statement is correct or incorrect, tell me yes. Question number 2, narrative record as a method of evaluation of internal control is suitable for large companies. Yes, only 2 mails have come, Anish Oja and Daniel Shingle, and also Murtaza Ali. Guys, when you drop your mails, do also write answers, because it helps us to understand your thinking process. Whatever one line or few words you are able to write, just try to write. Narrative record as a method of evaluation of internal control is suitable for large companies. Is the statement correct or incorrect? Yes, guys, tell me what should be the answer. What should be the answer? Yes, Sapna, S. Ansari, Alok, and Anand. Pranav, Jasha, Harshita. Yes, this statement is false. It is incorrect, because in narrative records, it is suitable for small companies. So only thing you have to write in the paper is that narrative record as a method of valuation of internal control is suitable for small companies. because it involves making a descriptive narrative record, which is not practically feasible in case of large organizations. Okay, so it is suitable for the small companies. Number 3, HR policy is followed by a company is part of control environment of company. Yes, tell me whether this is correct or incorrect. We were just discussing right now control environment. एक और क्वेश्चन कंट्रोल एनवायरनमेंट पे आ गया आपका. Yes, Dinyansh, Anish and Murtaza Ali. What about others? HR policy is followed by a company is part of control environment of company. Pranav Natarajan, S. Sansari, Alok. So guys, this we are discussing. This is part of control environment of company, correct? And Pranav Vashishta, how you are writing it is false. कंपनी की HR पॉलिसी है वो उसके कंट्रोल एनवायरनमेंट का ही तो पार्ट है. We had read while studying the meaning of control environment, how the company is devising compensation packages, whether the policies are employee friendly or not, whether the company is able to retain the employees or not by means of its employee friendly policies. So definitely these are part of the control environment, because this affects the whole ecosystem in which the company is operating. Okay. So Pranav, how you have written that it is false? It is true. Okay. And number 4 is a company conducts its risk assessment. Now read the question carefully. A company conducts its risk assessment. It is part of risk assessment procedures performed by the auditor. Number 4, a company conducts its risk assessment. It is part of risk assessment procedures performed by the auditor. Whether this statement is correct or incorrect. Only Murtaza Ali. Now Geet Chauhan, you are writing that you are not able to attend first 3 chapters due to your group 1 exams. Okay. So should you watch those sessions? So first tell me, Geet, how did you fare in your group 1 exams? Hope these went fairly well. So since auditing is a new subject and you have not earlier read it, so definitely first you should watch chapter 1, 2, 3 videos, and then you will be able to understand chapter 4. Do not rush into chapter 4, Geet. You will not be able to understand it unless you first understand chapter 1 to 3. Yes. Question number 4. A company conducts its risk assessment. It is part of risk assessment procedures performed by the auditor. Yes, this statement is false. Geet, you have also written false and you supposed to give correct reasons also. How this miracle is happening? Tell me, are you appearing for the group 2 for the first time? How this miracle is happening? And you guys, other students, Abdul and Dinyash S. Ansari, you are writing that it is false, but you are giving wrong reason. How? Abdul, you are writing that it is part of internal audit. आप पहले तो इसको आइडेंटिफाई कीजिए क्या चीज है. कंपनी कंडक्ट्स इट्स रिस्क असेसमेंट. Then company is conducting what? Whether the company is conducting internal audit. You are stating it is part of internal audit. Internal audit में internal auditor रिस्क मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम्स को इंप्रूव करने की सजेशन देता है. रिस्क असेसमेंट करना खुद ये कंपनी का, ये कोई इंटरनल ऑडिट का पार्ट थोड़ा है. उस रिस्क असेसमेंट को स्टडी करना इंटरनल ऑडिट का पार्ट है. दो टू थिंग्स आर डिफरेंट. सो व्हेन ए कंपनी कंडक्ट्स इट्स रिस्क असेसमेंट, इट इज पार्ट ऑफ कंपनीज रिस्क असेसमेंट प्रोसेस, एंटिटीज रिस्क असेसमेंट प्रोसेस. Entities risk assessment process. Component number 2 of the internal control, that it is identifying the business risks. It is estimating their significance, likelihood of occurrence, and it is also formulating the plans to address the action. Okay. So it is part of risk assessment procedures performed by the auditor. So is this part of risk assessment procedure performed by the auditor? False. स्टेटमेंट को पढ़ के ही पता चल रहा है कि कंपनी रिस्क असेसमेंट खुद की कर रही है, तो क्या रिस्क असेसमेंट प्रोसीजर्स जो ऑडिटर कर रहा है उसका पार्ट ही कैसे हो सकता है? हाउ इट इज पॉसिबल? इट इज पार्ट ऑफ इंटरनल कंट्रोल ऑफ द कंपनी. It is one of the internal controls of the company. When the auditor would study that internal control, when the auditor would study the risk assessment process, then or when he would be trying to identify the risk of material misstatement, then it would be a risk assessment procedure. At this stage, how it is a risk assessment procedure when a company is conducting its risk assessment? Guys, I had also told you that make a distinction between the company's risk assessment and auditor's risk assessment. These two are different things. कंपनी अपना बिजनेस रिस्क आइडेंटिफाई करके उसको एस्टिमेट करती है कि सिग्निफिकेंट रिस्क है ये, और क्या इसकी पॉसिबिलिटी है कि दैट दिस रिस्क विल मटेरियलाइज, और उसकी एक्शन प्लान क्या है टू डील विद इट. ओके. एंड रिस्क असेसमेंट प्रोसेस ऑफ ऑडिटर इज समथिंग डिफरेंट. हिज प्रोसेस इज रिलेटेड टू identifying and assessing risk of material misstatement, that where misstatement can happen. Now it is different from business risk. Is it clear to you guys? Yes. Question number 4. Yes. Yes. Question number 4. Is that clear, guys? Drop your mails. Question number 4. Is that clear now? Yes. Alok, Dinyash, you are saying it is clear. What about others? Abdul, is it clear to you? And as Sansari, you are linking into it to internal audit and external audit? No sense at all. Yes, guys, tell me, is that clear? Is question number 4 clear? Yes, Ram Nivas, Abdul, yes, you are saying now it is clear. Number 5, subjectivity in measurement of financial information leads to risk categorized as significant risk. Whether a risk is significant risk or not, if there is a subjectivity in financial information, if the financial information to be measured is subjective, is dependent upon judgment, then whether it is a significant risk or not. Whether it is a significant risk or not. Yes, tell me guys whether this statement is correct or not. Only 2 mails have come, Pranav and Abdul. Subjectivity in measurement of financial information leads to risks categorized as significant risk. Yes, Anish, Murtaza Ali. What about others? Yes, guys. So this statement is also correct. If there is subjectivity, if the financial information which is reflected, it is subject to judgment. Okay, so there can be many interpretations of it. There can be different interpretations of it. So then it is more prone to misstatement. It is there is more chance of it. It is to get misstated. Okay, that is why it is a factor to be considered for significant risk. Okay, students. So clear. Now we will do some more questions. Yes, Alok, I have already given you reason of question number 5. Now MCQs. Which of the following is true for in respect of internal auditor of a company in terms of provisions of Companies Act 2013? Now this relate to section 138 of Companies Act. What we had discussed right now. Yes, what should be the answer, guys? Which of the following is true in respect of internal auditor of a company in terms of provisions of Companies Act 2013? आपने बताना है क्या सही है. 3 स्टेटमेंट्स गलत हैं, 1 ठीक है. Yes, Anish, Kanaya Singh, Pranav, Harshita, Khushi, Abdul, Dinyansh, Pradeep Kumar, Parmar. What about others? So guys, 3 statements are wrong and 1 is true. And almost all of you who have answered, half of you are saying option B and half of you are saying option A. It means the concept is still not clear to you. So the correct option is option B. This is the correct option. Why? Now we will discuss why it is so. So guys, who can be appointed as internal auditor in terms of section 138 of Companies Act? He can be a CA or cost accountant, or I told you any other professional, as may be decided by board. As decided by board. So here it is written he has to be CA or cost accountant only. So this statement is wrong. He can be CA or cost accountant, but not only. He can be somebody holding some else professional qualifications. And what was statement C? He must be employee of the company. We had read it that he can be employee of the company or he may not be employee of the company. He can be on the payrolls of the company, or some services of a professional may be hired and fees may be given to him. He might not be on the pay list of the company. And D was he must hold valid certificate of practice. तो अगर एम्प्लॉय होगा तो सर्टिफिकेट ऑफ प्रैक्टिस कहां से होगा? तो ये ही मे होल्ड सर्टिफिकेट ऑफ प्रैक्टिस और ही मे नॉट होल्ड. ओके, सो कौन सी ऑप्शन बचती है? ऑप्शन बी. दिस वाज द करेक्ट ऑप्शन. A person who is not employee may be appointed as internal auditor. A person who is not an employee of the company, definitely he can be appointed auditor of the company. Like a firm of chartered accountants who is not employee of the company, it can be appointed as auditor, internal auditor of the company. That firm may provide services of internal audit to the client, to the company. So option B was the right answer. So guys, have you understood? Have you? My purpose was to make you clear the provisions of section 138 of Companies Act. Hope the question clears the mist. Hope the question clears the mist and it is clear to you who can be appointed as internal auditor in terms of section 138 of Companies Act. Tell me guys whether it is clear to you or not. Dinyansh, you are saying now it is clear. What about others guys? Or is there any doubt? Dinesh, you had already answered the question correctly. What about others? Yes, who had written option A? Khushi, Sujal Negi, S. Sansari. Now, is that clear to you? Now move to question 2. Which of the following is not a deciding factor to identify whether a control is relevant for audit? Now we had understood that guys, we had understood that not all controls are relevant for audit. All controls are not relevant for audit. So whether a control is relevant for audit or not, which of the following factor cannot decide this? 3 फैक्टर जो है वो डिसाइड करते हैं, एक फैक्टर डिसाइड नहीं करता. कौन सा है? Yes, 3 mails have come. Dinyansh, Pranav and Piyush. Chaurasia. Which of the following is not a deciding factor to identify whether a control is relevant for audit or not? Yes, students, waiting for your mails. Only 5-6 mails have come. Yes, students, be fast, guys. Yes, the right answer is D. This is the correct option. Nature of audit procedures. Audit procedure कैसे हो, उसका कंट्रोल रेलिवेंट है या नहीं, उससे क्या मतलब है? साइज ऑफ कंपनी डेफिनेटली अफेक्ट्स whether a control is relevant. Materiality, definitely it affects whether auditor should study some control or not. It is dependent upon materiality. Whether auditor should study some control or not, it is dependent upon the size of the company. Size is a factor to be taken into consideration. Applicable legal requirements, yes. If there are some legal requirements, then control relating to it become relevant. Okay, so nature of audit procedures do not affect. Now we come to question number 3. Which of the following does not affect audit risk? Yes, guys, damn simple. Just send your mails. Yes. Now, guys, there is a student, Band Reddy. He is writing, he is a student from batch 5 and he wrote his audit exam well. Yes. So I think yesterday was your audit paper ready. So how was the paper? Yes, ready. Give your feedback. How did your paper go? Was it tough or easy? Tell us something about your paper. Tell us what was your experience and how many marks you will be able to score. And also tell us whether the live coaching classes you attended were helpful to you. Yes, Mr. Reddy, do drop your feedback. Yes, he is saying paper was easy. Yes. Then are you hoping to get 60 plus marks? Yes, which of the following does not affect audit risk, legal risk? All other 3 are components of audit risk. Okay. Number 4. Which of the following is not relevant for identifying significant risks by auditor? So then you are again attending the class, Mr. Reddy. Can I ask the reason just for the sake of curiosity? Which of the following is not relevant for identifying significant risks by auditor? Which of the following is not relevant for identifying significant risk by the auditor? Yes, okay, that's fine. To interact ready. So nice of you to have joined the class again of the subject which you have given the exam. So to tell your friends also any piece of advice you want to give. So which of the not relevant? So Reddy is saying that ICI coaching classes and resources helped him a lot. So students note, he was benefited by ICI live coaching classes and resources. Okay. Which of the following is not relevant for identifying risk by auditor? Yes, guys, tell me. Complexity of transactions, related party transactions, non-routine transactions, and volume of transactions. Now, guys, correct answer is D. How, Anish Oja, you are writing C. Non-routine transactions are always a factor for identifying significant risks, because if a transaction is non-routine, then it means that it is not coming from the usual operations of the company. Okay, it is something different happening once in a while. So obviously when a transaction is happening once in a while, when it is not happening frequently, then when it is not happening in a routine manner, then obviously the chances of misstatements become greater. And when there are more chances of misstatement, then it is a significant risk. When there is a more risk of misstatement, then it becomes a significant risk. So how you are writing it is C. Sujal Negi, you had also written C, and Anish Oja, both of you. Kanhaiya Singh also. How you are writing C? So answer is D. Complexity. If a transaction is complex, then it is also a matter of significant risk. If it is a related party transaction, then it also carries significant risk. Non-routine transaction, I have already explained. Volume of transaction has nothing to do with the, अगर किसी के कोई वॉल्यूम ज्यादा है ट्रांजेक्शन का, तो ये मतलब तो नहीं है कि उसमें सब रिस्की हो जाएगा. और स्मॉल है, वॉल्यूम कम है, तो ये नहीं कि उसमें रिस्क कम हो जाएगा. स्मॉल में भी रिस्क हो सकता है. So have you got it, Anish Oja and Sujal Negi? Yes, guys, and a word of wisdom from Reddy, Mr. Reddy. You can. He has just given the auditing paper yesterday. He is saying start preparing right from now and do not procrastinate. बहाने मत बनाइए. Do not put off the work of today till tomorrow. Very good. Very good, guys. Very good. It is good to see how serious you are, students. It is good to see. So who is responsible for maintenance of internal control of a company? Who is responsible for maintenance of internal control of a company? Very simple. Yes, guys. Who is responsible for maintenance of internal control of a company? Statutory auditor, internal auditor, third parties or management? What should be the answer? Yes. Yes. 8-10 mails have come. Sujal, Murtaza, Sapna, Geet Chauhan, Abdul, Kanhaiya Singh, Alok, Rajender Singh. Kanhaiya Singh, you are writing answer to question 5th is yes. Why? What is the option? You have to write the option. Yes, guys, it was a fairly simple question, and I want to ask from the students who have given the wrong answer. Pranav, Khushi, Pranav Natarajan, Khushi, and Alok. Now, all three of you are writing B. Tell me how it is B. How you have how you are writing that it is B. Tell me. Let us under your line of thinking. How you have arrived at this, that the answer should be B. How? Tell me. Say, guys, in MCQs, you have always to write the most appropriate option. The most appropriate means the option that is best amongst the four. Now we will see all the options one by one and try to correlate it with our understanding. Okay. So first option is statutory auditor. Is statutory auditor responsible for maintenance of internal control? No. Statutory auditor is responsible for evaluating internal control. He understands the systems and he evaluates. He assesses their effectiveness. He sees whether these are effective or not. But he is not responsible for their maintenance. He is not responsible for checking that, for ensuring that they operate effectively. He is concerned with this fact whether they are operating effectively or not, because it depends his risk assessment. But he is himself is not responsible for the fact that controls are operating effectively. Okay. And what about third parties? Are third parties responsible for the internal control of the company? Say if I am vendor of the company or if I am customer of the company, so would I be responsible for maintenance of controls at the company level? No, I am not responsible. What I have to do with the controls of, in the company? I would be interested in selling my goods to the company or purchasing goods from the company and making payments or receiving payments. Okay. And what about B option? Now many of you have writing B, internal auditor. क्या इंटरनल ऑडिटर रिस्पॉन्सिबल है कंट्रोल की मेंटेनेंस के लिए? ये किसकी जॉब है? प्राइमरी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी किसकी है स्टूडेंट्स? इंटरनल कंट्रोल बनाना और उसको इंप्लीमेंट करना और उसको मेंटेन करना. किसकी? इसकी डेफिनेशन अब में जाइए आप. दैट इज व्हाई आई टोल्ड यू दैट first understand meaning of the term. So internal control is, we had learned in our previous lecture, is devised, implemented and maintained. By whom? By management. So this was the base definition as per SA 315. प्राइमरी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी तो स्टूडेंट्स किसकी है? मैनेजमेंट की है, कि जो सिस्टम, जो कंट्रोल्स कंपनी ने बनाए हैं वो ठीक तरह से चलें, और वो ठीक तरह से चलें, उसकी मेंटेनेंस ठीक तरह से हो। इस जो आदमी कोई चीज बनाएगा वही तो रिस्पॉन्सिबल होगा उसके ऑपरेशन और मेंटेनेंस के लिए। सो आपको एक एग्जांपल देता हूं, इसका उससे कोई कनेक्शन नहीं है, रियल लाइफ में एग्जांपल है। अब गवर्नमेंट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट देती है किसी टोल कंपनी को कोई रोड बनाने के लिए, टोल कंपनी रोड बनाती है। ओके, रोड किसने बनाई? टोल कंपनी ने। ओके, तो उसको मेंटेनेंस करने की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी एक पीरियड तक किसकी है? टोल कंपनी की है, क्योंकि वो उससे टोल का पैसा वसूल कर रही है। सो इन दैट वे जो आदमी जिसकी जो चीज वो बना रहा है उसकी मेंटेनेंस की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी तो ऑब्वियसली उसकी होगी, एक प्लेन कॉमन सेंस में। डू नॉट ट्राई टू कोरिलेट इट डायरेक्टली, लेकिन एक प्लेन सेंस, कॉमन सेंस के लिए मैंने आपको एग्जांपल दी है। सो अब इंटरनल ऑडिटर का क्या रोल है इंटरनल कंट्रोल में? इंटरनल ऑडिटर भी ये देखता है कि कंट्रोल जो चल रहे हैं उसमें क्या इंप्रूवमेंट हो सकती है। लेकिन प्राइमरी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी किसकी है? प्राइमरी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी तो मैनेजमेंट की है। ओके, और इंटरनल ऑडिट का फंक्शन चाहे मैनेजमेंट का फंक्शन है, मैनेजमेंट का पार्ट है, लेकिन इन दोनों में से बेटर ऑप्शन कौन सी है? इन दोनों में से ऑप्शन बेटर मैनेजमेंट है, क्योंकि मैनेजमेंट ही अल्टीमेटली और प्राइमरी रिस्पॉन्सिबल है। द बग स्टॉप्स एट द लेवल ऑफ मैनेजमेंट, it does not stop at the level of internal auditor. So guys, you understand this? Guys, you understand the answer? Yes, drop the mail, guys. So drop the mail, guys, whether you have understood it. So guys, now you have a full overview of chapter 4, risk assessment and internal control. Okay, so what we have learned? We have learned about audit risk. So what was audit risk? Audit risk was the risk that auditor gives an inappropriate opinion when financial statements are materially misstated. Okay, and what were the components of audit risk? These were risk of material misstatement and detection risk. And risk of material misstatement can be again divided into two things, that is inherent risk and control risk. Inherent risk means risk which is coming from within the transaction prior to considering any controls, and control risk means that chance that controls might not operate effectively, or these are not able to prevent and or detect and correct a material misstatement. Okay, and we have also understood the relationship between all the components that audit risk has with risk of material misstatement and detection risk. And what was the detection risk? Detection risk is the risk of auditor. So guys, you have to understand that inherent risk is the risk of the company. It is coming from the transaction. within the transaction. Control risk also belongs to the company, and detection risk is the risk of auditor. यही चीज है जो उसके हाथ में है. अगर कंट्रोल इफेक्टिव नहीं है तो ऑडिटर क्या कर सकता है? आपने प्रोसीजर्स, ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स का दायरा बढ़ा सकता है. अगर ट्रांजैक्शन में इनहेरेंट रिस्क ज्यादा रिस्की है तो ऑडिटर अपनी चेकिंग का दायरा बढ़ा सकता है. ओके, टू रिड्यूस द ओवरऑल ऑडिट रिस्क. ओके, so and we had also understood the meaning of internal control. It is a system. It is developed, implemented, and maintained by the management. And what was the purpose of internal control? Its purpose was that there were 4 purposes: efficient and effective conduct of business, reliability of financial reporting, safeguarding of assets, and compliance with rules and regulations. Okay. So the purpose basically of internal control is to ensure that all the business of the company, all the operations of the company are carried out efficiently and effectively. And the figures which are there in the financial statements, these can be relied upon, and the assets are safeguarded. Okay. And we had also studied components of internal control. 5 components we had studied. What were the 5 components? Quickly, we will be having a recap. Control environment, I have explained many times. Entities risk assessment process, explained n number of times. Third is information system. What is hardware, software, data, people, and procedures? Okay. So this comprises the whole information system. Fourth is control activities. Control activities include what? Like performance reviews, okay, segregation of duties, physical controls, and fifth was monitoring of controls itself. We had also discussed internal audit and the kind of companies, class of companies which are required to appoint internal auditor in terms of section 138 of Companies Act 2013. We have also understood the meaning of and nature of internal audit. What is its scope? What does it include? Internal auditor खाली shortcomings point out ही नहीं करेगा students, that is very important, but he will also get the shortcomings corrected, get the shortcomings rectified. He would suggest improvements. Okay. So this was all about, and Pranav, you are saying you are not able to understand relationship between risk and materiality. I have explained twice. You can once again go through the module, and in case of difficulty, you can come back. Okay, guys. So I think you have understood the chapter 4 largely. I would not say completely, but largely you have gained a sense of the chapter. I hope so. So whatever finer points are remaining, you try to study, and then you will be able to gain a good understanding of the chapter. Hope the session was fruitful and useful to you guys. Okay. So very good night to all of you. Happy studying, guys. Happy reading time. Good night. Good night, guys.